Did Quasito Fomensa just build a Super Bowl caliber roster for the Minnesota Vikings? Well, after 24 hours of the legal tampering period, it sure seems like it. The Minnesota Vikings went into free agency with some very defined needs, and let me tell you, they delivered on filling all of them. It was a really impressive first 24 hours of the legal tampering period for the Minnesota Vikings. And let's just break it down. The first signing was a little less sexy. Cornerback Isaiah Rodgers from the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me tell you, good football player, but it was interesting to see that he was the first guy, 2 years, $15 million. And that's a max value. The cap hits are very palatable. And it just proves that the Vikings have a type at cornerback. They like the small guys who are feisty and going to attack the football in the air. And that's what Rodgers does really well. Mainly an outside guy who played less than 50 snaps in the slot in his entire career. It's the same archetype as Mekhi Blackman. And will they be able to utilize that in maximize? We'll find out. Then they signed Ryan Kelly, which you can go kind of look at our last video. I recommend you go do so. Talking about him and replacing Garrett Bradbury. I thought maybe he might be brought in to play guard, but they completely shut that down by signing his teammate in Indianapolis, Will Fries. Yes, it's Fries, not Freeze. Agreed to terms on a 5-year, $88 million contract. It's an interesting one because this is the first ever 5-year deal that Quasito Fomensa has given out. Not even Christian Darrisaw and Justin Jefferson got a 5-year deal. That's a big thing here. 5 years is a lot, and something that Quasito Fomensa has not done. Justin Jefferson was the first 4-year deal that he gave out. He wasn't even willing to do that. Jonathan Grenard was, and then Justin Jefferson soon after that. So they really prioritized the offensive line, which is something I wasn't sure they were going to do. Kevin O'Connell made it very clear after the loss to the Rams that he wanted to fix the interior offensive line. But a few days later at his season-ending press conference, Quasito Fomensa was a little less committed to it, talking about a more linear approach and how development can be a big factor. Year-over-year growth, coaching, not just replacing players. But they did. They got a new center, they got a new right guard, and that's going to be a big factor in the Vikings taking that next step. But they didn't just do that. Tuesday morning, they signed 2 good interior pass rushers. They're both over the age of 30. Jonathan Allen, 3 years, $60 million at the age of 30. And Javon Hargrave, 2-year deal, which we do not have the numbers yet, at age 32. Both those guys don't count toward the compensatory pick formula, which is a really smart way of doing business. If you can't get the elite guy, which, let's be honest, maybe Milton Williams isn't an elite guy because his run defense is very suspect, and that's a big factor in playing defensive line. If you got 2 guys that you can bring in and fortify the position, and they don't count towards the comp pick formula, where right now, the Vikings are projected to get a 3rd from Sam Darnold, a 4th from Daniel Jones, who left for the Indianapolis Colts. Hell yeah, buddy. That sounds like a great way of doing business. I'm thrilled with how the Minnesota Vikings have built this. They're about to go into the NFL draft with no dire needs. And that's not even including the fact we haven't talked about Byron Murphy yet. Byron Murphy Jr. signing a 3-year, $66 million extension to stay with the Minnesota Vikings. That price got spiked because of the deal that J.C. Horn signed, 4 years, $100 million, worth up to $110 million, I believe, with incentives. Murphy was always going to get paid. They wanted to extend him after the 2023 season, going into the 2024 season. Murphy said no. He wanted to play it out. And guess what? Everything Murphy did to wait it out paid off because he was the number 1 free agent corner signed as far as average annual value. DJ Reed got 16. Charvarius Ward and Carlton Davis got 20. Your mileage may vary if Murphy is the best of the bunch, but he got paid like it. And he's going to return to this defense where he has thrived. And guess what? Murphy's also the youngest of that group. He's only 27 years old. That's a big factor. He's going to be able to cash in with his 4th contract at the age of 30. What a smart way to play it by Byron Murphy Jr. And the Vikings defense is going to be significantly better because they kept him. This is a Super Bowl caliber roster. If J.J. McCarthy ends up being good, this team could be very, very dangerous. But it's all going to ride on McCarthy because if he's bad, the defense can only take you so far, as we saw last year, because when Sam Darnold played poorly, it was rough. When he played really well, it was great. This is going to be a fun ride in 2025 with this Minnesota Vikings team, and a Super Bowl is clearly in their sights and grasp. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skol Vikings.